Teslas are already some of the fastest accelerating cars ever seen. Ludicrous mode means you can dust supercars off the line in your big comfy Model X or Model S with all the family waving from the back window as you power silently away from that Lambo, Ferrari or McLaren. But Elon Musk reckons they can be even faster. How? By using rocket technology. Literally rocket technology, as in little thrusters all over the car to help the electric motors blast it from 0 to 60 in a little over a second, and then bring it back down to a halt in half the distance of any conventional car. He wants this as a SpaceX option on the new Roadster. You know, the one that he hasn't actually put on sale despite announcing it in 2017, saying it would be here in 2020 as a hardcore smackdown to gasoline cars. Yeah, we're waiting, mate, we're waiting. Now, Elon Musk being who he is, there are probably a few people out there with other creative ideas about what he can do with his rockets. But let's give him the benefit of the doubt and ask, are the thrusters really the answer to making cars even faster? Obviously, rocket and jet-powered cars are nothing new. Land speed record cars have been using them for decades, like the Bloodhound SSC. That hopes to hit 1,000 miles an hour with a combination of a jet fighter jet engine and rocket motors. And you'll have seen those crazy jet-powered dragsters, flames coming out the back as they blitz the quarter mile. Nothing new. So why use rockets and jet thrusters when electric motors are already doing the ludicrous thing? Well, it comes down to tires. They keep us rolling along well enough, but there's only so much torque they could handle before they vaporize into clouds of smoke, which is fun, but not very fast. And as long as the thing powering the car, whether it's an EV motor or an ICE motor, is putting its power to the road through the wheels, the rubber surrounding them will always be the limiting factor, whether it's an F1 car, a dragster, or a family hatchback. You'll have spotted the obvious flaw with the idea of using rockets and jets to power street cars, right? Yeah, the big flames coming out the back. I mean, it's one way to stop Audis tailgating you, but not really viable. The other problem, they guzzle fuel. You think a V8's thirsty? Got nothing on a jet. That hasn't stopped people from trying though. Chrysler built a jet-powered car in the 60s, which looked very space-aged, and Spen King, the guy who went on to create the original Range Rover, was also experimenting with them from the late 40s, making a jet-powered Rover Saloon in 1961. Now, these cars didn't use thrust to push them along. Their jet engines powered the wheels through a gearbox in a pretty conventional way. Lotus and others even tried jet-powered racing cars for the Indy 500 in the 60s as well. They were fast, but they never quite lived up to the promise. Turbines have also been considered as a way of powering range extender hybrids, most recently in the Jaguar CX-75 concept, but none of them have quite made it to production. Elon's idea is to use compressed air, not actual rockets or jets. We'll get to the science bit in a second, but basically your Roadster SpaceX edition, if it ever comes out, will have a big tank of air in the back which will be charged with compressed air from a pump driven by the motors, a bit like blowing up a balloon. The tank then holds the air until you need it. If you need that extra bit of thrust, then you simply release the air, a bit like this. Looks simple, right? Well, it is. In the absence of any firm information from Tesla, a few people have actually been speculating about how it might actually work and how much faster a SpaceX edition Roadster might be than the standard one, which only does like 0 to 60 in 1.9. Rubbish. My friend Jason from the Engineering Explained YouTube channel has a few really simple equations to explain it all, which I'll write out for you now. Anyone brought my marker pens? Anyone? Yeah, they're under the, never mind, no. Anyway, you can check out Jason's channel for the full technical explanation of how it works, but by crunching the numbers, he's worked out that the Roadster would need 20,000 newtons of thrust to go from 0 to 60 in just over a second. 1 second. That's not ludicrous, I don't even know what that is. But check this out. Elon doesn't just want the SpaceX Roadster to accelerate faster than anything else. He also wants it to fly. Well, float. He tweeted a picture of the flying DeLorean from the Back to the Future 2 movie to make the point. But the thing I've got in mind is more like Luke Skywalker's Speedster from the original Star Wars, you know, the kind of open-top levitating Roadster with the thrusters on the back. That would be dope. Anyway, reality check. There's a problem. Jason points out that to create 1 second of thrust at that kind of power, you'd need 30 kilograms of air and a pretty big tank to carry it. Remember the balloon? Lots of thrust, just not for very long. Great for quick bursts of acceleration, or as a kind of reverse thruster to stop the car in half the distance it would need conventional brakes to stop. But the idea that you could use it in a sustained way to help with something like cornering or downforce doesn't really stack up. People have tried it, or versions of it. Gordon Murray, the guy who created the legendary McLaren F1, in his previous life as an F1 car designer, he came up with the Brabham BT46B, which used ducted air from its giant cooling fan to literally suck the car down onto the track. This was an idea adapted from another mental racing car called the Chaparral, which used an additional motor from a snowmobile to drive fans and make it work like a reverse hovercraft, creating downforce even when it was standing still. They were answering the same issue, how to overcome the limitations in tyre technology, and were both so much faster than the competition that the other drivers, they weren't very happy. The BT46B only raced once, but it won by miles, and even Bernie Eccleston, Murray's boss and the Brabham team manager at the time, realized it would kill the racing having a car so much faster than everything else, and it never raced again. But Murray had made his point. So fans, jets, thrusters, pressurized boosters, they can all overcome the limitations of conventional tires, and maybe Elon hasn't actually lost the plot this time. Will we ever see the SpaceX Edition Roadster in our showrooms though? Well, he'll have to build the electric one first, won't he? Come on, time's ticking.